Hello to everyone. Now, as we were continuing with the chapter of history, chapter number 12, the rise of nationalism in India. So, in the previous classes, we have understood what the nationalism is, how nationalism started among the people, right? What are the different factors which forced the people of the country to understand the need of nationalism, that what is the need of nationalism for me? Okay, the Britishers were already in our country, they were ruling over our country, they were exploiting the resources of our country, and they were exploiting the people of our country like anything. But now this was the time for the people, because you have already witnessed so many changes were there. People were already not happy with the ruling ways of the Britishers over your country. So this was the time for the people when they started thinking that actually why we are doing so, why we are listening to them, why we are following to them. They were never a part of our country, they just came few years back, and slowly they started capturing us and capturing our territory like anything. Why? Okay, so this why gave a answer to the Indian, and that why only aroused the feeling of nationalism among the Indian minds. As it is written in the book also, the socio-religious awakening, the spread of modern education, the growth of press, development of mass communication, and the economic exploitation of our resources by Britishers, that all led to an awareness about the true nature and role of British in India. Right, we have already discussed all these parts, that how economic development in our country, how the development of railway, how the development of other transportation means, how the development of communication, how all these things led a growth in the mindset of the people, that yes, India belongs to me, I am the person of India, this is my country, and I will not let others to exploit my country. I should rule at my own, I should make laws for my own, and that's all. It was all when it started. Okay, now after that, an urgent need was felt to unite together and fight for the pride of nation, right? You know this thing, that after the feeling of nationalism, when we people have the revolt of 1857, it made many failures, it met with lots of failures, the things were not in our favor. Okay, and everything. So now what happened, we could not unite at that time because of the transportation, we could not stand together because of the lack of communication. But now, as you have learned in the previous chapter, that Lord Dalhousie, he introduced so many ways of communication and transportation. So using this, the Indians were more and more united together, so that they can fight for their right, they can make the strategies, they can discuss among them, and then the things started taking place in a very positive direction. Okay, so like in the previous chapters, previous portions, sorry, we have covered the factors responsible for the rise of nationalism in India, like economic exploitation, political cause, religious and cultural awakening. We have also understood about the administrative unity of the Britishers, the development of transportation and communication, education, and development of vernacular languages and immediate factors. So in today's class, we will be discussing about a very important, law, which was about to be implemented in your country, but it could not implement just because of the insecurity of the Britishers. That was the Ilbert Bill law, bill controversy, which happened at that time. Right. So we will be studying about the Ilbert Bill controversy, that what this Ilbert Bill was, why it was in a controversy, why the bill could not be implemented in your country, and what was the core reasons about this bill. So here we go with the presentation. I hope you will try to understand each and every point of this bill. Okay, so here we go. Now here you can see chapter 12, class 8, the rise of nationalism in India. The chapter continues, right? So here we are discussing about the Ilbert Bill controversy. What Ilbert Bill was and why it gained a lot of controversy. So first of all, you should know it was implemented, or it was introduced in the parliament somewhere in the year 1883. So by that time, we had Viceroy, we had our Viceroy, Lord Ripon. Lord Ripon was a wise man. Lord Ripon was a very noble man. And he thought that I should introduce something in this country so that the racial discrimination, basically, the racial discrimination was based on the color. Okay, the racial discrimination between the black and the white. So he said that I should do something, so that the racial discrimination can be minimized, at least at the official places, at least at the, we can say, the executive places. Okay. So a bill was introduced by Sir Courtney Ilbert. Okay. Now, Courtney Ilbert, who was the law member of Lord Ripon. लॉर्ड रिपन की जो एग्जीक्यूटिव स्ट्रक्चर था, उसके जो लॉ मेंबर थे हमारे, वो थे सर कॉटनी इल्बर्ट. ओके, ही वाज आल्सो नोन एज द सीपी इल्बर्ट इन शॉर्ट. Okay, so that is the reason this bill was called Ilbert Bill, because Mr. Ilbert just introduced this bill in Parliament. Okay, and the bill was named after him only. So don't you think that he introduced the bill, Lord Ripon introduced the bill, and he should put the bill on his name? For God's sake, he does not do that. He did not do that. The reason was that the moment Sir C.P. Ilbert introduced this bill in Parliament, he was welcomed with a lots of criticism. He got a lot of criticism for implementing such stupid bill in the Parliament. ऐसा मैं नहीं कह रहा, ऐसा Britishers कह रहे थे उस वक्त. What a stupid bill you have introduced, man. Look at the bill. Now, what was at the bill? What was there in the bill which disturbed so many Europeans at once? So what was the bill? It allowed all the Indian judges to try the cases involving the Europeans, although there was no any drawback in this bill. Okay, now also what happens if we talk about our country? Any Punjabi judge can hear the case of the Bihari convict, or any Bihari judge can listen the case of the of any convict from Tamil or Kerala. Means it is all the profession. I am a judge, you are a criminal, or you are the convict. Let us discuss. Let us not bring the color, gender, nationality among all these things. So that was the motto of Lord Ripon. Okay, Lord Ripon wanted to just remove such kind of racial discrimination from the judicial system of the India. Right. So he just asked his law member, Sir C.P. Ilbert, to draft some laws and bills based on that. And he came up with a bill which was called as Ilbert Bill. Now, according to that bill, any Indian judge can hear the case or try to solve the case or handle the case of any European criminal. So it was not wrong something in that, because Indians were also judged, they were also qualified, Europeans were also judged. So why you want the the white judge for Europeans and the black judge for Indian? It should not be like that. Okay, so he tried to remove the discrimination based on color in that aspect. But as soon as this bill was introduced in Parliament, the bill agitated all the European communities. They've started forcing the government to withdraw the bill, to withdraw the bill. As you have seen a few days back, we people got the Kisan bill, okay, and then after that, Andolan is started that we don't want that bill, we don't want that law and all. So of course, people are free to express themselves whether they are right or wrong. So at that time also, that these things were happening, right? You can't say that these things started in India right now. It was happening at that moment also. Okay, so all the Britishers, all the Europeans, those who are living in India, and those who are even not living in India, they were in Europe far away, and they were also criticizing this law that you are a European, my dear. Sir C.P. Ilbert, you are a European. Sir Lord Ripon, you are a European. Why you are making a law? Why you are making a bill which is against the Europeans? So sorry, it was nothing against the Europeans. It was just a change in the administrative system of the country, but they felt so. Okay, now what was the reason? Because this incident, and of course, when this came, so Indians were okay with that. Okay, no problem. We will handle the case of Europeans also, because for Indians, there were no such rule. Indians at that time, let me make this clear, this thing also very clear to all of you. Indians were not at all given this facility that the Indians cases will be handled by Indian judges only. right? But earlier the Britain people, the Britishers, the Europeans, they had such privilege that they will be only and only heard by the white judges, okay, except the presidential states like the Madras, Calcutta and Bombay, okay, only on that provincial places the it was all equal, that everybody can hear the case of anyone. But other places all the Indians were handled, can be handled by anyone, but the Europeans will be only and only handled by the यूरोपियन जजेस. सो दिस वाज द बिल, अ स्मॉल बिल, एक छोटा सा क्लॉज इसमें आया कि भाई हम इसको हटा रहे हैं, अब सारे क्रिमिनल हमारे लिए एक जैसे हैं, चाहे वो इंडियन हो चाहे यूरोपियन हो, एंड वी विल बी डीलिंग विद द बाय द केस, नॉट बाय द कलर. बट everybody just agitated, it just blasted the whole country. All the Europeans were against all these things and they came up with so many excuses, okay, because when you are against something you have to show that why I am against someone. Okay, if you are against me you have to tell me the reason. You can't say that I don't like that person, so that is the reason I will not take help from him, or I will not listen to him. It's not the reason. Tell the reason. The person is not good, the person is making making some false promises, all these kind of things. So you have to come up with some reasons. Okay, so what happened at that time also, the Indians the Indians were convinced that yes, we are okay with that, but the Europeans were not at all convinced with this law. So here uh, what happened after that, the Indians became convinced that Europeans could not treat Indian as equal to themselves. This thing came in front because you know this thing कि जो ब्रिटिशर्स थे उन्होंने इंडिया के लोगों को किस कदर पागल बनाया था कि हम जो आए हैं आपके देश में, हम और आप एक जैसे हैं. We are just making colony so that we can develop your India. But now when this incident happened, people of India thought कि they are not with us. They are discriminating on the basis of color in the cases of criminal and all, crime and all. So how they can claim that yes, we both are equal? So this thing came in the mind of Indian people very strongly that no, the Britishers were lying. Britishers could not consider Indians as equal to them. Right. So this was all about the bill. First of all, you should know what was all about the bill. So the bill was the Ilbert bill. It was introduced in the year 1883. It was also known as the White Mutiny of 1883. Okay, this bill was designed and drafted by Sir C.P. Ilbert. That is the reason he got the name of, the Ilbert bill. And who was C.P. Ilbert? So C.P. Ilbert was the law member of Lord Ripon's executive, and Lord Ripon was the Viceroy of India of that time. That is from 1880 to 1884. Okay, now what happened after that? Let us continue with the slide. More details about the Ilbert Bill. Now you can understand this Ilbert Bill in little bit more detail. The then Viceroy of India, Lord Ripon, sorry, it's just a slight mistake. I think it's 1880. Was a very noble wise person. Okay, as I told you, he was the Viceroy of India from 1880 to 1884. Excuse me for that typo error. He was a very noble and wise person, right? He wanted to remove the racial discrimination from the judicial system of our country, which I told you. So in 1883, Sir C.P. Ilbert, the law member of Executive Council, introduced the bill, which was also called as the White Mutiny 1883, and the bill got its name from his name. As expected, the bill was highly criticized by Europeans, as I told you, living in the country, that is in India, and the Europeans of Britain also. Okay, the Europeans of that country also, they were also agitated. Means why? How now means Indians की इतनी हिम्मत हो गई कि अब वो white people के cases को सुनेंगे. How these kind of things can happen? So kind of ego clash. Okay, घर पे ऐसा हो जाता है ना कभी कभी कि जैसे होता है कि आप पापा से कोई परमिशन लेते हो, पापा दे देते हैं, फिर मम्मी के पास जाते हो, मम्मा पापा ने परमिशन दे दी है, मैं जाऊं, तो मम्मा एकदम फ्यूरियस हो जाती है कि मेरी परमिशन के बिना पापा ने मतलब कैसे परमिशन दे दी तुमको, right? So in the same manner, the European people were also filled with agony कि now we have to listen to these Indians. Now these Indians will tell that whether we are right or whether we are wrong. Okay, so actually why they were agitated, so to know this thing you should know that what was the practice before this bill. only the Indian judges of presidential town, that is the Bombay, Calcutta and Madras, they were only allowed to handle the cases of Europeans. But now after this bill, if this bill will be introduced, all Indian judges can do the hearing and handle the entire case of any European in any part of India. चाहे किसी गांव की अदालत हो, चाहे किसी टाउन की, किसी कस्बे की, कहीं की भी अदालत क्यों ना हो, वहां पर एक इंडियन जज, ओके, एक भारतीय जज किसी भी यूरोपियन अपराधी की सजा सुना सकता है अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस बिल. But unfortunately, Europeans were highly disappointed and they started protesting. Now, why? This expression you can see, like, why? ऐसा क्यों? कुछ तो reason होगा. So now let us come back to the reasons. What are the reasons? First of all, the reasons for boycotting were the reasons, first is British women. Women were the reason to stop this kind of bill to be passed in the executive. Now, why the women? कहीं हद तक देखो तो वुमेन जो थे, एक्चुअली बेटा क्या होता है ना, कई बार हम चीजें गलत दिखाते हैं और फिर लोग उन गलत चीजों को समझते हैं और फिर उन्हीं गलत चीजों के आधार पर हमको जज करते हैं. आप इस बात से मना नहीं कर सकते, मुकर नहीं सकते कि जब ब्रिटिशर्स इंडिया में आए तो द थिंग विच दे वर अमेज्ड ऑफ was the misery of the woman, right? That India की जो woman है उसको कितना ill treat किया जाता था, like sati pratha, widow, ill treatment, all these things were already prevailing in our country. And women of Britishers, they saw and even they sympathized with the women of India. Ki why this is the condition of women in this country, where the woman is being prayed, the woman is being worshipped in the temple, like Devi Durga, Devi Saraswati. So why the real woman inside the home, they are, they are ill-treated by the men? So this was the voice raised by the British woman, that we have seen India, we have seen Indian men, when they can't give justice to their own woman, how we can expect justice from Indian judges. That was the first point which was put forward by the British woman, right? British women were the main reason for the revolt against this bill. They expressed their discomfort in the case where their problems and reasons are heard by Indian judges. They were not at all in the favor of any Indian judge to hear their case, because they have seen the exploitation of the women in the country by the men. So according to their mindset, they found Indians very dominating upon the women. So they were totally against this bill by giving the reason that when the Indians can't do justice with their own women, how we can expect the judgment. Okay, how we can we can even think of this, that Indian will be impartial to us, they are not doing any biasness with us. Okay, so कुछ हद तक उनके points correct थे, according to me, according to you, whatever you feel, but कुछ हद तक जो European women's का point था. Okay, because there are three reasons for opposing this bill. So first reason I found satisfactory, because they have seen that yes, how the women are being burned, how the women are being ill-treated, how the women are beaten, how the women are not given the rights to speak in the family matters or in panchayat or in services, education. So means they have seen and then they have reacted. Okay, so I think this reaction was quite justified from the British women. Okay, going to the next reason of protest, that why the Britishers were protesting against this, was the traders and planters, which was totally wrong. Okay, they do not have any right. उनको ऐसा कोई भी right नहीं था इसको protest करने का, क्योंकि उनका reason बहुत ही ज़्यादा silly था, students. Right? What they told, according to the traders and planters, the British traders and cultivators and the planters were against the bill, as they used to exploit Indian farmers. Okay, इंडियन फार्मर्स, चंपारण मूवमेंट एंड एवरीथिंग के बाद जो हमारा इंडिगो रेबिलियन स्टार्ट हुआ था, और उसके बाद ये आ गया था कि अब कहीं भी कोई भी ब्रिटिशर किसी भी किसान को इंडिगो उगाने के लिए फोर्स नहीं कर सकता. बट स्टिल, एज यू नो, लॉज बनते हैं और उसको तोड़ने वाले भी बहुत लोग होते हैं. right? So many of the Britishers, they were exploiting the Indian farmers. उनको जॉब का लालच देकर बुलाते थे, खेतों पर उनसे गधों की तरह काम करवाते थे, vigorously उनसे काम करवाया जाता था पूरे टाइम, okay, and they were paid very less. So in short, they were exploiting the Indian farmers. Now exploitation का इल्बर्ट बिल से क्या कनेक्शन है? बहुत बड़ा कनेक्शन। पहले क्या होता था कि बाय चांस अगर किसी ने भी आपके यूरोपियंस की कंप्लेन कर दी कि वो इस तरीके से एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे हैं, दे आर एक्सप्लॉइटिंग द फार्मर्स लाइक एनीथिंग, सो दे हैड टू बी हैंडल्ड बाय द यूरोपियन जज ओनली, वाइट जज ओनली। तो भाई मैं भी यूरोपियन, तू भी यूरोपियन, थोड़ा बहुत ले दे के सेटल कर लेते हैं। This kind of thing was happening. So the Europeans were very free-minded. They were exploiting the farmers like anything. अगर कभी complain हो जाती थी, तो they used to settle the dispute among themselves only because the judge was the European, right? But now onwards, if this bill will be introduced, then it may happen that these British traders and cultivators and planters could be tackled by the Indian judges, and there nobody is there to save them. So poor Britishers at that time. Okay, so that was the reason they were against this bill कि ये बिल तो भाई इम्प्लीमेंट होना ही नहीं चाहिए। अगर ये बिल इम्प्लीमेंट हो गया तो भाई हमारी तो चांदी खत्म हो जाएगी, हमें तो कोई प्रॉफिट मिलेगा ही नहीं। ओके, और हम मतलब फिर कोई फार्मर्स को एक्सप्लॉइट भी नहीं कर पाएंगे। ओके, सो अर्लियर इन केस ऑफ एनी डिफिकल्टी ब्रिटिशर्स यूज्ड टू escape due to the white judges, but now they were afraid that they can be caught in the case. Their cases are heard by the Indian judges. Okay, so now this is the fact. Obviously, you can evaluate as a student. Now you can evaluate that yes, whether it was good or whether it was bad. I'm leaving this totally up to you. Okay, like the first statement, the first reason I cleared from my side that I found it very satisfactory. Yes, the women's point were quite justified. But this point, according to me, this point of protest, according to me, is totally incorrect. You can't say a judge that do not make a law that people can't steal. ओके, कल को मान लो गवर्नमेंट ने एक लॉ निकाला कि कोई किसी के यहाँ चोरी नहीं करेगा, ऑफ कोर्स इट इज अ लॉ, नोबडी कैन स्टील एनीथिंग फ्रॉम एनीवन। ओके, और तुम जाकर कहो कि नहीं मैं इसके अगेंस्ट हूँ। क्यों अगेंस्ट हूँ? क्योंकि मैं चोरी करना चाहता हूँ। So do you think you are justified? In the same manner, this point is also not justified. But still, as a youth, as a citizen, I'm leaving it up to you to evaluate whether this point is correct or not. Okay. Now moving towards the third point, which is very like nominal. It was the ego. Okay, it was the ego of the Europeans. That now how the European people will be taken care by Indians. These Indians are not up to the mark that they will listen to, they will, order something to us. So that ego also came in between that no, not at all. This law will not work. We are Europeans, they are Indians, and we don't want any treatment from Indians because they don't know anything. That was the point put by the, Europeans. Okay, so by this you can see that there were three main reasons, the three main points which the people gave that why we don't want this bill to be implemented. The first one was about the first one which we have discussed. It was all about the women concern, that women do not want it to be handled and treated by the men of India because they do not have any faith. They did not have any faith or any trust among the Indian judges. Second, about the traders and planters, they were against it because now they, after this, if they will be tried by the Indian courts or the Indian judges, then they could not exploit the farmers anymore and make their huge profit. And the last one was the ego clash between the Europeans and the Indians. Okay, so these were the three main reasons of the revolt of this. So क्या हुआ उसके बाद? क्या ये बिल रहा? क्या ये बिल सर्वाइव हुआ हमारे देश में या चला गया, लोगों से डर के भाग गया? So obviously, conclusion was that after facing a lot of criticism and agony, this bill was scrapped in 1884. 1884 में इस बिल को स्क्रैप कर दिया गया, वापस ले लिया गया and could not be implemented so far. यानी 1883 में उसको बेचारे हमारे सीपी इल्बर्ट ने इंट्रोड्यूस करा, उनको बहुत सारी गालियां मिली, उनको बहुत सारे क्रिटिसिजम्स झेलने पड़े एंड फाइनली 1884 में उन्होंने कहा ओके थैंक यू, मैं अपने बिल को वापस लेके जा रहा हूँ, ठीक है, and he scrapped the bill and the bill could not be implemented. But पिक्चर अभी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त. In 1884 this bill came with another name. ना कई बार ऐसा होता है, मूवी आती है राज, फिर राज 2, राज 3, तो इसी तरीके से ये बिल 1884 में फिर से रेडी होकर आया, बट विद सम चेंजेस इन इट. I think these things you will not get to know in class 8th, but I wanted that when I'm taking this particular concept for you, you should know each and everything about this concept in the easy terms. Okay, so again what happened in 1884, this bill came back, but this time the name was changed. As happened in the, Britain, what happened, this thing, Corona went, and that again, new strain of Corona came. So in that same manner, the bill was scrapped, and in 1884, again, this bill came by the name of Criminal Procedure Code Amendment Act 1884. ओके, तो अब मुझे ये समझ नहीं आ रहा कि लोग इसके अगेंस्ट इसलिए थे क्योंकि वो एल्बर्ट के नाम पे था. क्लास में होता है ना, कई बार छोटे छोटे बच्चे आपस में लड़ते रहते हैं कि आंसर तो मैंने भी ठीक दिया था, सर ने तो केवल उसी का नाम लिया. राइट, सो यही नहीं समझ आ रहा. तो एल्बर्ट ने सोचा कि भाई क्या पता लोगों को मेरे नाम से ही प्रॉब्लम होगी. सो देन ही चेंज द नेम ऑफ द लॉ एंड ही मेड द नेम ऑफ द लॉ दैट वाज द बिल वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड नाउ बाय द नेम ऑफ क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर कोड अमेंडमेंट एक्ट ऑफ 1884. So this was the new name of the bill. Okay, so according to this bill, don't think that everything was same like last time. No. This time there were some changes. Now what are those changes? According to this bill, now Indian judges can handle the cases of the European, but there was a condition, right? So ऐसा होता है ना, पापा के पास आप जाते हो, पापा मैं दोस्तों के साथ पार्टी करने जाऊं, पापा कहते हैं हाँ बेटा जाओ, एंड यू बिकम सो हैप्पी दैट यस पापा ने तो एक ही बार में परमिशन दे दी, बट फिर पापा एकदम से बोलते हैं बट देयर इज अ कंडीशन, एंड दैट वाज लाइक क्या हो सकता है कंडीशन भी. मे बी पापा बोले रात को आ जाना है 12 बजे से पहले, रात को 8 बजे से पहले आ जाना है, या एक्स्ट्रा पॉकेट मनी नहीं मिलेगी, कुछ भी हो सकता है. Okay, so like I remember one time it happened. I asked something with my father that can I do this thing? I want to take part in so and so activity. So can I go for it? He said, yeah, go. He was just taking his tea and he said, yeah, just go for it. And I became so happy that yes, I'm going. I'm actually going to participate in this. Within 10 seconds, he said, but there's a condition. What is the condition? Condition kya hai? Your exams are approaching and you have to go, get around 95% to just do that work. And of course, I have been a good scholar in my school days, but still, when the condition is given to you, you feel quite tensed. And luckily, in those exams, I got 98 point something in my exam, and then I could go for it. So, of course, when it comes to the condition, we are very much curious to know that, yes, what the condition is. So, the condition was it should be a jury in a ratio of 50-50% when handling the case of any Europe. Okay, now what happened? What is a jury? Jury is now, earlier what was the rule? Earlier the rule was that one judge is sufficient to hear the case, whether the European or Indian. Okay, but according to this new amendment in this law, it was made very clear to handle the case of any European, okay, it should be a jury. Okay, when dealing with the case of whites, the judgment will not be given by the Indian judge only. Rather, there will be a team of judges in which equal ratio of Indian and European judges should be maintained. Okay, means there should be equal ratio of Indian and European judges when you are discussing, when you are hearing the case of any European. तो क्या Indians के साथ भी ऐसा हुआ था कि अगर कोई इंडियन है तो उसमें भी 50-50 रेशियो मेंटेन किया जाएगा? नो, ऐसा इंडियन केसेस में नहीं हुआ. तो इस बात को आप ध्यान से समझना. एक ज्यूरी बनाई गई जिसमें 5 से 6 जजेस एक साथ बैठेंगे. अगर किसी भी यूरोपियन क्रिमिनल का केस है, या अगर किसी भी यूरोपियन इंसान का केस है, तो अगर या तो वो यूरोपियन जज के सामने जा रहा है तो वन इज इनफ, और अगर उसमें इंडियंस को भी इंट्रोड्यूस करना है तो इट शुड नॉट बी बाय वन जज, इट शुड बी बाय अ ज्यूरी in which there should be around 5 to 6 judges, and it should be in an equal ratio. Okay, that in that jury the Indian judges should also be there and European judges should also be there, so that the discrimination could not take place for the European. So इसमें क्या problem हुई इस लॉ से, इस पॉइंट से किसी को कोई दिक्कत नहीं हुई, बट इसमें इंडियंस ने ये सोचा कि व्हाई दिस स्पेशल ट्रीटमेंट टू द यूरोपियन। या तो फिर आप इंडियंस के लिए भी ऐसा करो कि अगर इंडियन मुजरिम है, इंडियन पर्सन है, सो इंडियंस के लिए भी यू शुड गिव अ jurisdiction in the same manner कि there will be a jury, there will be a panel in which 50% will be the Indian and 50% will be the European. So why only for the European? So finally this arose the feeling among the Indians that Europeans does not wanted them to be equal to them. Europeans always wanted to be superior. They always wanted to show that we are better than Indians. So of course we will be treated in a better manner, no matter we are living in Indian's country. Okay, so that was all the things which was now revolving in the minds of the people of India. Okay, that why these things are happening. This further, pushed the Indian people to develop their own political organization. Now Indian people thought ki these things are not happening because whatever the organization, whatever the groups and whatever the formations are done, they are only and only for the Britishers. Nothing is for us. हमारे लिए तो कुछ है ही नहीं. Okay, so now what happened, they made it very clear that we have to develop our own organization, we have to develop our own political groups and all, so that we can put our decision, we can put our interest, we can put our logics also in front of the government. Okay, and of course after that the political organization and leadership की जहां बात आती है, फिर उनके अंदर एक नेशनलिज्म की फीलिंग डेवलप होने लगी थी कि मेरा देश है, मेरी कंट्री, मेरा देश, मेरा मुल्क, मेरा ये वतन. ओके, तो इसमें बाहर के लोग आके बिजनेस कर रहे हैं और बिजनेस करने के बाद रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बना रहे हैं, और हम लोगों को ही, जो कि हमारा देश है, तो हम लोगों को अलग ट्रीट कर रहे हैं और अपने लोगों को अलग से ट्रीट, right? So these all the things were now coming and in the minds and hearts of every Indian, and this started, or we can say this sparked the feeling of nationalism among the people of India, and slowly the procedure started becoming more and more wide. Okay,